Writing a novel. Easy, right? You only have to get a good idea, then you can sit at your desk, you start typing until your story is complete. Then you send your manuscript to the publisher, then off to the bookstore. You wait and you become a bestseller. Simple. Or maybe not. It's actually a little bit more complicated than that. Hi, I'm Cam, marketing copywriter turned novel writer, and today I'm sharing with you 10 things that no one tells you about writing a novel. Number 1, writing is hard. It's actually so hard that apparently only 3% of the people attempting to write a novel actually finish their manuscript. And the reason why, I think, is because there's a huge difference between the worlds we build in our head and telling the story, finding the right words, the right sentences to convey our stories, to share with the words we've imagined, the characters, their emotions, to describe places and feelings. It's actually really hard, and I think that's the main reason why people give up on their first novel. Number 2, novels are actually pretty big. They're quite a commitment. Not any story of fiction can be considered a novel. For that, it needs to be at least 40,000 words. For some people, it would even be 50,000 as an absolute minimum. But that's not all. Most commercial novels, the one you can find in the bookstore or at the library, your favorite novels probably, are usually between 70,000 and 120,000 words. That's quite chunky. In other words, it's between 200 and 300 pages of a Word document, size 12, normal font, not even double space, and it would take you, if you're writing 1,000 words a day, 5 days a week, non-stop, with no break, no holidays, it would take you at least 4 months to produce enough for a proper novel. Number 3, premise is not plot. This is one of the common pitfalls. It's a trap a lot of new aspiring writers fall into. They think that they have the coolest, greatest idea, but the premise is not the plot. The premise is the idea that you have at the beginning of the novel, and it's going to be very useful. You need one, and you're going to need this premise to sell your novel in the future. It's, for example, zombies meet Henry VIII. Tudor zombies, I'd read that. Or one of the astronauts on the International Space Station happens to be a vampire. That also sounds pretty cool, and it sells. However, it doesn't tell you what the story is. What's the plot? What's going to happen to the vampire or to the other astronauts? Is Henry VIII going to be fighting zombies, or is it going to turn into one of them? And what about Anne Boleyn and the other wives? The premise is not the plot. And that's a realization that can be really hard when you're quite proud of your idea, but you start writing and you realize that it's not enough. To build an entire novel, you need premise and plot and strong characters. But yeah, bear in mind that premise is not plot. That's a very important thing no one tells you when you write a novel. Number 4, no one cares, or at least no one cares as much as you do. This is a harsh truth that every writer will find out eventually. No one cares as much as you do about your novel. Even your mum, even your partner, even your best friend. C'est la vie. The thing that you have to keep in mind is that this is yours. This is your project, your story, your characters. This is your baby. And it's very important that you care about it. Unfortunately, not everyone will have the same passion. 5. Finishing your first draft is only the beginning. You think you're done. You just finished your first draft. You wrote the world, the end, and you're really proud of yourself. And you can be. It's a great achievement. However, you're far from having a novel. At the end of your first draft, you have, well, a first draft. Then you're going to have to go through several steps of editing. And this this is not optional. You have to do that. So you're going to have to review your first draft and your second draft and your third draft maybe. Then when you're done editing your novel by yourself, you're going to need external opinions. You're going to need beta readers, professional editors. You might also want to find a literary agent and maybe a publisher, one of the big publishers at some point. So you're going to have to review, revise and rewrite your novel again and again and again. And if no one's told you that yet, I'm sorry, I'm the first one. But this is, again, a harsh truth that you have to accept. The first draft is only the beginning. Number 6, not everyone's gonna like your novel. It's harsh, but it's also really true. And there's nothing you can do about it. Even if you write the best story in the universe, even if you become the new biggest, greatest bestseller and a new classic of literature, you will still have people who don't like it or don't want to read it. And that's how it works. It's very important to understand that literature is art and art is subjective. There's no way you can create something that is going to resonate the same way with every reader on the planet. And that's cool. That's actually a very important thing. We need different types of novels and different types of genres and different types of stories so we can please different type of people because we're all unique. So yeah, not everyone's gonna like it and that's fine. Number 7, the publishing industry is a business. This is another harsh truth. There are a few in this video, but this is really something you have to bear in mind. If you are writing for yourself or for your family, or if you want to share your story with your friends or your children, you do whatever you want. That's totally fine. But if your goal is to get published, if you want to sell your novel nationally or internationally, you have to understand that this is a market, this is a business. And so you have to play by the rule of the business. So there are trends, there are specific genres, there are specific expectations that you have to bear in mind and that you have to accept. For example, if you're writing a romance, but your book is really big, like 130,000 words, it's probably never going to sell. Same, if your epic fantasy novel only has 70,000 words, you're not meeting the market expectations and you're probably never going to find a publisher. It's harsh, but it is how it works. I know, well, I guess, I'm pretty sure that if you could, you would probably just stay at home, comfy, with a cup of tea maybe, and spend your day writing your novel, or researching things that you can incorporate to your stories, build up your characters. Unfortunately, nowadays, that's not enough. As a writer, if you want to get published, if you want to sell your book, whether you're traditionally or self-published, you will have to work on your own marketing, work on your own PR, work on your own social media. And it might not be what you want to do, but unfortunately, you're probably going to have to anyway. Sorry. Number 8, publishing is unfair. That's kind of the continuation of our previous point. Unfortunately, the publishing industry, just like life is unfair. It's not based on merit. Hard work doesn't guarantee you success. It sucks, but that's it. What I mean here is that celebrities can come in, use ghostwriters, come up with stories that are sometimes not that well written, and they will still sell a lot and have the publishers put a lot of budget in their marketing. And it feels very unfair because you worked really hard on your novel. You can spend years building your story and more years crafting it, editing it, and still never be successful. Publishing is unfair. I'm sorry, and this is something that someone needs to tell you about writing a novel. Number 9, it's a long process. Writing a novel takes a while. Editing it, getting it ready for publishing also takes a while, and even once you have a literary agent and a publisher, it still takes another year or two before your book is finally ready for the bookstore. And what if it works? What if your novel actually becomes a bestseller? Then you're gonna live the rest of your life with your characters and your story. Everyone's gonna remind you about it, so you better love them. It's also very important to remember that it takes time for everyone. So even if you feel a bit overwhelmed by how long it's taking you to write your novel or to get it published, it's normal. It's a long game. What matters the most is that you do not give up and you remember that more than your writing skills, success is a matter of patience, perseverance, and resilience. Number 10 is worth it. Your novel could change the world, or just someone's vision of it, but it would still be worth it. There are many examples throughout history of stories having a huge impact on our societies. Novels, stories, they can change the world. So we have to keep on writing, we have to keep on trying to not only craft our stories, but get them out there and share them with everyone. Imagine one day that someone's reading your novel and for a few hours it takes them away from their dull everyday life. Or maybe they read a sentence and it makes them smile or maybe cry. The emotions that you're gonna make them feel just with words that you wrote on a page. Isn't it amazing? So yeah, it's worth it. It's one of the things few people will tell you about writing a novel. It is worth it and you should not give up. And that's it. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more videos about writing novels. If you have more examples of things no one tells you or things people tell you way too often, please feel free to share them in the comments. This was my first ever YouTube video, so I would love to hear your thoughts about it. Let me know if you liked it, if there are things that I could change or improve. And see you soon for another video. Bye!